Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Love to all being the nation of Israel. Now let's go ahead and jump into it. Today we're going to break down, analyze, and thoroughly go through Isaiah the 60th chapter. We're covering this because this is a chapter that a lot of Christians and Bible thumpers like to go to say that the light that's to come to the Gentiles, meaning the other nations, are going to make them equal, or whatever the case is. And a light into the Gentiles is actually mentioned twice in the scriptures, and there's two different interpretations thereof. We're going to cover the first one here in Isaiah the 60th chapter, and it's also a light to the Gentiles mentioned in Isaiah the 49th chapter, starting around verse 6. So to be more specific here, the Gentiles referred to in Isaiah 60th are actually the other nations, and in Isaiah 49 is talking about the lost sheep of Israel, aka the northern kingdom, those that fell out of the covenant. I got a bill of divorcement from the Most High, pursuant to Jeremiah, I believe the 3rd chapter, starting at verse 8. So let's just come.
That was chapter 47, right?
Isaiah, you talking about the light to the Gentiles?
Right.
49.
49. Okay, come.
49 is 6. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump straight to it. Let's start at the top. Let's get a proper understanding. We're going to talk a little bit about the kingdom. We're going to talk a little bit about servitude. We're going to talk about the Gentiles and the kingdom of Israel, the everlasting dominion, and what that'll look like. So let's start from the top.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee.
All right. Arise. What's another way to arise is to be upright. Shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. So we know, pursuant to Proverbs 6 and 23, that the law is the light. But what also is the light, which is all mean the same thing. Let's get to Revelation, the 21st chapter, and get verse 23.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 21 and verse 23. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine on it, but the glory of the Most High did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
The Lamb is the light thereof that is come. All right. The Lamb being Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus Christ. The light is come. All right. That law is come. All right. And the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. So as you see in this title, a glorified Zion, like I said before, sometimes they get it right. This is talking about Zion being glorified. And speaking of glory, let's talk about that for a second. What is glory? Let's look over these definitions real quick. Opinion, judgment, view. Just, they'll do this. I guess there is maybe a few times where glory could be talking about opinion, judgment, view, but let's get to what it's mostly referring to. Splendor, brightness of the moon, sun, stars. We know that's double fold, right? Magnificence, excellency, preeminence, dignity, grace, majesty, a thing belonging to the Most High, a thing belonging to Christ. What's a thing belonging to Christ? The nation of Israel. So a most glorious condition, most exalted state. All right. So this is the glory that's going to arise and come to the nation of Israel. All right, I know that's a little bit longer explanation, but we gotta go through this so we can fully contextualize what's happening here. All right, let's get verse 2.
Good. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and the gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be upon thee.
That's the period we're in right now of gross darkness, because this world is without light. All right, even if your eyes are open, you cannot see. It's too dark. All right, even during the day. All right, what do I mean by that? Without the light being Yahushua, you're in darkness. These people are lawless. So the law is the light. So if you don't have the light, you're in darkness, utter darkness. All right, let's get Job chapter 10 and verse 21 through 22.
Good. It's the book of Job, chapter 10 and verse 21. Before I go whence I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. And land of darkness as darkness itself, and the shadow of death without any order, and where the light is as darkness.
It's like it. So before I go whence I shall not return, even to the land of darkness. This is where we are now. This is the land of darkness, the shadow of death. All right, because to be honest with you, it's just a bunch of people, the dead man walking around here. Right. We know that the wages of sin is death. And these workers of iniquity around here, piling up on the wages of sin. All right, so they're going to be a part of that death. Talked about in Revelation, the 20th chapter, actually the two deaths. But that's a different topic. But either way, the land of darkness is darkness itself, the shadow of death. Why? Because it's without any order. This land doesn't have any order whatsoever. I mean, these people constantly just go back on their own so-called order that they have. I mean, they're hypocrites, where the light is as darkness. All right. So that's the time that we in now. You get verse 3 now and back in Isaiah.
Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 3. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising.
Okay, so this is the beginning of where people are used to, they get all excited. When they see anything about the other nations, they get thrilled. Because especially, the so-called Black Christians, they want to give away their promise all day, every day. They go out their way to get a promise away to the nations, people that have put them in captivity, into bondage, and quite frankly, don't care nothing about them. But they always trying to find a loophole in the scriptures to give some type of glory to them. So what does this mean here? And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. All this is referring to is the whole nation. I mean, not the whole nation, the whole planet Earth, all nations on planet Earth will have to keep the law. They will have to abide by the Most High, his son, and the nation of Israel under their statute, laws, and commandments. So all of the wickedness that's going on now is going to be reversed. They're going to come to the light. That glorious light that we talked about here in the first verse, also in Revelation 21 and 23, the Lamb's light. That's all this is referring to. It's not saying that they're going to have equal parts in the kingdom. It's not saying that, anything is going to change per se outside of them keeping the laws. This is all this is really going into. All right. So let's see, all right, let's go back to Revelation 21 because this chapter is closely related. So we'll jump back to and fro. Let's go to verse 24 now.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 21 and verse 24. And it reads, and the nation of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
Now, this is something we're going to be touching heavily on here in a few verses. The kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. So that's another thing that the other nations are going to be required to do, is to bring all of their riches, all of their gold, even all of the silly knowledge that they've obtained. They're going to have to report all of that to us constantly, day and night. All right. So they're going to have to walk in the statute, laws, and commandments, or they will be utterly wasted and destroyed. But that's what this is referring to. All right. But we have to understand that the Bible is about dominion. It's about rulership. Okay. That's what the end goal is for the nation of Israel, rulership. To have rulership, there's nobody over you, over your nation. So this is not saying that the other nations are what's sometimes referred to as the Gentiles, not every time, but just here in this context. It doesn't mean that the other nations are going to be, like I said earlier, equal or anything of that nature. Okay, that's all this means. But they'll read, Bible thumpers read this and start adding to it. Oh, you see the light. So we're all gonna be together. It doesn't say that. Calm down, calm down. All right, let's go ahead and get verse 4 now.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 4. Lift up thine eyes round about and see. All they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy son shall come from far, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side.
So you'll have a servant to take care of your daughter if you choose so, your sons. All right. Let's get more of that. I think we got this last week. Let's get Micah chapter 4. Start at verse 1 through 2 for now. 1 through 2.
It's the book of Micah, chapter 4 and verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mount of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it.
So that's what this is referring to when it says that the light shall arise. Yahweh Shah is going to come back and establish the kingdom in the land that was promised to his people. All right. So in the last days, it shall come to pass. All right. Keep going.
Verse 2. And many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord and to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
That's what that light is, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. All right. So another thing you have to keep in context is that the children of Israel will have the immortal bodies. I mentioned this before. I mean, you have to really think about that. If you one of the other nations and you see someone immortal and you know that, you're going to worship them. And again, I'm referring to the other nations, not the children of Israel, but they're going to worship us. All right. Actually, we can go ahead and get verse 3.
Verse 3. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
Well, you see that? This is what the Bible is really about. All right. Beating their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, meaning they going Go from having a gun in their hand into, you know, a rake or something like that, whatever they need to do to be helpful. All right, outside doing the work. Out instead of us, it's going to be them. We're going to be the end thing. All right, children of Israel are going to be on top. So right now we're in astonishment to the people, a shaking of heads, like it states in I believe that's Psalms chapter 44 and 14, a shaking of the head of the people. You see us now and just like, man, look at them. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they're doing, but all that's going to change. All right. And strong nations are going to be rebuked. All right. So that's all this is going into, man. You know, people try to add to it. I know y'all have seen it before. All right, let's go to verse 5 now.
Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 5. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee.
So we see here that the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. All right. What is that referring to? That's referring to the other nations that will finally start keeping the statute, laws, commandments, at least the ones that will be, you know, on the other side, say from being utterly wasted. Everyone except for the Edomites, of course, because they're gonna be done. All right, let's get Isaiah 61. Where you at? Where Isaiah 61 at? Oh, there we go. Isaiah 61. Oh, matter of fact, Slocky, let me go to this to talk about the seas real quick. Let's go to Isaiah 17 and 12.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 17 and verse 12, and it reads, woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations, that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters.
Okay, you see, nations are likened into waters and into seas, okay? Because when you have a sea, that's a mixing of waters. So normally you see seas, it's referring to many nations or waters. Either way, that's normally a similitude. There, you can get verse 13 as well.
Verse 13, the nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but the Most High shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind.
So those nations will be rebuked now. All right. But the reason we came here is to see the similitude of the rushing of many waters. And a point, let me grab this real quick. Let's get Zechariah chapter 8 and verse 23.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 8 and verse 23. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you.
Remember, we read in 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, how it will be known who are the children of Israel in the last days. Okay, and they're going to see the strength that the Most High has bestowed upon the children of Israel and the immortal bodies, and they're going to want to be a part of that, man. They're going to be trying to cleave on. That's why you see that out of 10 men, you know, they're going to be trying to take hold to one Jew, saying, we'll go with you. Well, we heard that God is with you. So that's why that light is going to shine, meaning Yahweh Shai's statutes, laws, and commandments. Well, he is statute, laws, and commandments. That's why they're going to cleave to the word. They're going to be so afraid as well. At least those end up cleaving, because a lot of them just going to be destroyed. You know, they're not going to be with it. So they're going to be destroyed. That's okay. I'm cool with that. We all good with that there. All right. So we on verse 6 now, correct?
Con.
Let's get it.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 6. The multitudes of camels shall cover thee. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praise of the Lord.
You said shall bring forth $100 bills?
They shall bring gold and incense.
Okay, so this is going to be real currency, real money that's actually valuable, that the other nations are going to flow into Israel. Okay, everything that they own right now is really ours. It's going to be brought back to us, man. You see these other nations, the Midianites and Ephah and Sheba, these quote unquote Arab nations, they're going to have to bring in their gold and their incense and show praises to the Most High.
It's a lot.
Con.
Precept, Jeremiah 49 and 32.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49 and verse 32. And their camels shall be a booty, and the multitude of their cattle a spoil. I will scatter into all winds them that are in the utmost corners, and I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, saith the Lord.
Hey, the most I may can bring everything to us.
Exactly. Great precept. Great precept. Because I believe it was something else I don't have pulled up here that talked about how everything will be returned to us. If brothers got that precept or any other precepts on that, you can bring them out. Because I got some other ones, but I don't think it's the main one I really wanted. Maybe I'm tripping. I'm probably pulling a brother Israelite indeed over here. You know what I'm talking about. You bringing up the verses that what's that verse that? But anyway, I'm just messing with y'all. But let's go ahead and get verse 7.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 60, and verse 7, and it reads, all the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together into thee. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory.
All right, so even that flocks, you got to run all that, man. We need the rams. We need the horses. We need all of that, all the livestock. Run me that. All right, they want to give up all their spoils. All right, keep going.
Verse 8, who are these that fly as a cloud and as the doves to their windows?
Hey, man, we're going to be fly, man. Who are these? Keep going.
Verse 9, surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee.
All right, so that silver and gold again is coming back. All right, this is what real quote unquote reparations are. All right, if you waiting on the so-called white man to pay you back before prophecy is fulfilled, Hey man, I hate to say it like this. Y'all forgive me, but you a goofy. All right, it's not gonna happen. You gotta let prophecy play its part. All right, you're not gonna be paid from the so-called white man for slavery or any other iniquities that he's done and still doing today. He can never pay you back for what he's done for you. There's no price on that. And if you try to negotiate a price, you don't understand what really happened to you and your people. There's no way. All right, no matter what type of billion or trillion, there's no amount of money that that man could pay you. And even if there was, it would be too high to pay the whole nation of people. It's not going to happen. All right, it's over with. This is the reparations, the gold and the silver being brought back. All right.
So
Ms. Khan.
hey, even they're on our current money isn't worth all much now. They are trying to move into cryptocurrency and everything.
Yeah, so they can monitor every single transaction. And,
Yep.
you know, anything that you see is popular, and I'm not saying not to invest into crypto per se, but it's there's definitely an end goal to it. They just want every single transaction to be traced. They don't want cash. All right, because with cash, you know, you can slide some through and you don't know where it came from. You can't see it on your books. Well, cryptocurrency, you're going to be able to trace back any transaction or any quote unquote uh, dollar, or you could say, let's just throw out Bitcoin. That's just the first one that really blew up. But whatever, Shiba, whatever the heck, you're gonna be able to trace that back to its origin. So if it didn't pass through 1,000 people, you're gonna be able to trace it all the way through wherever hand it, you know, it passed through. Like right now, if you see $10 on the ground, you don't know if that $10 just got printed. You don't know if it's, you know, been at the store, it's been in a exotic dancers, you know, straps, none. You don't know where it's been at. But with that cryptocurrency, you're gonna be able to see exactly, you know, where that thing been at, man. All right. So yeah, great point though. That this dollar is completely valueless. I mean, it's just a piece of paper. All right. When you understand that, you don't really put your spirit into it. You know, you're supposed to get money, of course, but not supposed to put your spirit into it. It has no value. Only gold and silver, livestock, and things of that nature has real value. All right, just a piece of paper that they can change the value for. Might wake up tomorrow and $100 really 10 now. Good luck. All right, so let's get Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 23.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
So all nations are going to have to keep the new moons and keep the Sabbaths, man. They're going to have to keep the laws. That's the light that shines forth to the Gentiles. That's what that's referring to. All right, but they're still going to be in servitude. All right, so just how right now we're in captivity, we have to keep the laws. They're going to be in captivity, and they're still going to have to keep the laws to the best of their abilities, or they'll get wiped out. Oh, you can keep the new moon. Good night. You out of here. All right. And, and most of us already know this, and this is not going to be a full breakdown on the other nations' captivity, but you know, it must be said. Let's go ahead and go to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 through 2.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Right, like Zechariah 8:23. 10 men gonna cleave to one Jew. All right, keep going.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Wait, so you mean to tell me the Bible talks about servants and handmaids and putting people into bondage and captivity and ruling over their oppressors? Is that what you're telling me?
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
So this is a cut to many, many different things here. First of all, the people that call themselves Jews today, we have to really think about this. How is it that this scripture, which has not been fulfilled yet, how is it that, they shall rule over their oppressors? Who is oppressing the so-called Jewish man that owns all of the media, owns all of the sporting franchises, owns
One,
it's like what you say?
not one.
Like how is it that they own everything and they're being oppressed? What type of oppression is that? That's rulership. All right, they're over the Federal Reserve, which they call it Federal Reserve. It's not a government entity at all. All right, it's ruled over by international bankers, which people would call today the quote unquote Illuminati, really. All right, that's who the Jewish quote unquote people are. They are the oppressors. So this scripture here is cutting even close to that being a possibility. We have a million other reasons why they don't keep statute, laws, and commandments. They got their own thing going on. What they call them, like Hasidic Jews, where they wear the all black with the little hats and the cube of Saturn on their head and all this other nonsense, man. Look, they're not the people of the Lord, man. Just plain and simple. But the point here I wanted to bring out is that the other nations are going to be captives. Okay, servants and handmaids. All right, they're going to have to cleave into the children of Israel. All right, so Isaiah, this is in the same book too. So, I mean, you think Isaiah is double speaking? He's double minded? The light that is going to be brought forth to the Gentiles is not referring to anything outside of them cleaving to the house of Jacob, keeping the statute, laws, and commandments. It's that simple. All right, but they try to add to the word, which we know these people, that's just one thing they're good for. Let's get Revelation 3 and verse 9.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 3 and verse 9. And it reads, "Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee."
Yeah, they do lie. They do lie. So the people that we were just referring to, Yahweh Shai called them the synagogue of Satan. All right, that's the ultimate, deception of this world, which Satan is a deceiver. All right. And, today they say things like they see an Asian, so-called Asian rocking braids. They'll say cultural appropriation. No, this is the ultimate cultural or culture appropriation. When you take a whole nation's a name, their reputation, claim their scriptures and everything about it, even their land. All right, that's what the so-called Jewish have done. That's culture appropriation. That's real culture. appropriations, but they do lie. All right, they the synagogue of Satan. But you see here, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So they have to worship at our feet, man. That's thus saith the Lord. That's not my opinion. I'm just reading what's already here. All right. So let's go ahead and get verse 11.
All right. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 11. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day or night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought.
Bring me the kings, man. Bring me the kings. Now, one thing to note here, it says the forces of the Gentiles. And let's see what the forces of the Gentiles, what does that entail here? Let's see. All right. So forces in the modern Kayil. Now let's see what this is. Strength, outline of biblical usage of this word. Strength, might, efficiency, wealth, army. Strength, ability, efficiency, wealth. Okay. That's the forces of the Gentile that's going to be brought in. Riches, all right, wealth, power. So again, they're going to have to surrender everything that they've gotten through deception, lies, and deceit. All right, I said deceit twice basically, but y'all get the point. Everything that they've obtained is going to be brought back. All right, that's how it's got to go down, thus saith the Lord. All right. Because when the Most High speaks, it is. All right, so this is going to come to pass. The forces of the Gentiles going to be brought in. They're going to have to. Are they? You know what? Let me not say it. Let's just get verse 12.
Good. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 12. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted.
If you will not serve the children of Israel, you will be utterly wasted and you will perish. It's that simple. All right, so this is another huge cut to those that think that, the kingdom of heaven is for all nations. How is that so? It says the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. I mean, the way that Christians, frame the kingdom of heaven, there isn't a whole nation of people that goes against the Most High. It's just a couple of bad apples that haven't went to their church and paid tithes and repented yet. So it says a nation and kingdom. I mean, it's whole nations that will have to perish if they don't, adhere to the word and they're going to be utterly wasted. All right. It says a nation and a kingdom, not, the people they claim. Like I said before, man, I feel like they think there's only two people that's going to go to a quote unquote hell or be destroyed. 2-3 people on earth, because they, the standard is so low. I mean, you could do anything as long as you go to church one time, you're already good. No real repentance. You don't have to keep no laws or nothing. But anyway, let's go to verse 13.
Verse 13. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. I will make the place of my feet glorious.
Hey man, they're gonna have to work hard, man. They're gonna have to bring in trees and the box, everything together. Which that's a tree too. You have to beautify the sanctuary, man. You know what I'm saying? They gonna be working hard. And that's scriptural. And let's get just to go back on the point about the nations, let's get Jeremiah 10 and 10.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 10. And it reads, but the Lord is the true God. He is the living God and an everlasting King. And his wrath, the earth shall tremble at his slacking. At his wrath, the earth shall tremble, and the nations shall not be able to abide his indignation.
So the nations won't be able to handle his indignation, his righteous anger. That's pretty much what indignation is. All right. So another cut to, all nations coming together, holding hands like they try to frame things to be. Brothers got some?
Yeah. Just add on to that verse on 13. Let me get Acts chapter 7, verse 49.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 7 and verse 49. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord? Or what is the place of my rest?
All right, cool. So on note this verse on 13 says, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. They are gonna have to clean the whole earth up. They are gonna have to keep everything beautiful and everything abiding to the laws. Everything.
Facts. All right. Let's get, where we at, brothers? Verse 14.
That's where we at. The book of Isaiah, chapter 60, and verse 14. And it reads, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel.
Okay, the sons also of them that afflicted thee. Again, who's afflicting the so-called Jewish today? Who's afflicting them? They are the puppet masters of this society. All right. They were over feminism. When that first came, that destroyed the so-called Black community. Over all of the world wars. Like I said before, from what my understanding is, they were most of the slave owners. Things like today, you had a nasty Edomite that's over, he started Black Lives Matter. All these different things, all these different quote unquote movements that's supposed to be over our people. You can best believe, you best believe there's a so-called Jewish man behind it. All right, or a league of them. All right, so nobody's afflicting them. This is talking about us. And it says the sons also of them. Notice that, right? The sons. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 32 and verse 17 through 18.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 32 and verse 17. And it reads, our Lord God, behold, thou hast made the heaven and the earth by thy great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for thee.
Okay, keep going.
Thou showest loving kindness unto thousands, and recompenses the iniquity of the fathers into the bosom of their children after them. The great, the mighty God, the Lord of hosts is his name.
So that iniquity that the forefathers of our oppressors have committed unto us, that's coming on their head too. All right, that iniquity is going to visit the children after them. All right, so you notice it says here in verse 14 that the sons also of them afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee. So, even their offspring, all right, all nations will have to bend, bow the knee, like in Philippians, the second chapter, I believe, verse 10. All right, so all nations will have to do that, like we read in Revelations 3 and 9. All right, let's get the next verse.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 60, and verse 15. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations.
Who has been forsaken and hated, that no man went through thee? Nobody checking for a so-called black man right now. All right, he's been labeled as a rapist and a killer, and all these things, until they're trying to use his plight and his energy, and like the George Floyd situation, until it's time to use his energy for a movement. We pretty much dogs until then. Our women act like they about us for about a month or two when somebody gets shot, and they back to calling us all type of rapists and dogs and whatever else they got for us on all over social media. But let's get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and start at verse 1.
All right. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors.
Okay, the sons that afflicted him, keep going.
When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for.
You see that? The other nations are going to be amazed. Like, wow, they picked them? They picked black people? I mean, the Most High picked black people? Wow. I thought they were just rubbish. Keep going.
Verse 3, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach.
So that's what the other nations think about us, whether they tell you or not. This is what they thinking. Keep going.
Verse 4, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor.
That's what they thought the destiny of a so-called black man was, to be an end without honor forever. They thought we would never get right. All right, keep going.
Verse 5, how is he numbered among the children of God, and his lot is among the saints?
See, they're going to be astonished, man. Those that were forsaken and hated, the Most High chose them. Keep going.
Verse 6, therefore have we erred from the way of the truth, and the light of righteousness have not shined on unto us, and the Son of righteousness rose not upon us.
The Son of righteousness. Remember, the Son is likened into knowledge. All right. So we pretty much got the point there. The point is, other nations are going to be astonished that we were chosen because of our state and condition right now. All right. Let's get the next verse. 16.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 60, and verse 16, and it reads, thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob.
So this is parabolic, just like a lot of the verses in this chapter is. So suck the milk of the Gentiles and suck the breasts of kings. Well, we know that a king is a male, therefore he doesn't have any breast milk, right? So this is referring to, I said this earlier, the knowledge of the Gentiles. All right, everything they have obtained, they're going to have to run that as well. All right, we taking all of that back. All right, that's the milk of the Gentiles. We know milk is likened to knowledge. All right, I believe that's in Hebrews 5 and 13. All right, we know that's the base level knowledge according to the scriptures. Or like in Isaiah 28. So let's go ahead, get the next verse.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 60. 17.
17.
In verse 17. And it reads, for brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thy exactors righteousness.
All right, so you're gonna take that iron for silver, man. You know, again, gold, silver. These things are promised to us. These are part of the promises that we read about in Romans, the 9th chapter. All right. And thy officers, so that will be, rank in the kingdom, and thy exactors, righteousness. Let's keep on.
Verse 18, violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise.
The wall's gonna be salvation, man. Another cut. There shall be no more hurt in thy land. No violence shall be heard in thy land. Excuse me. So could this be talking about current day Israel? With all these bombings and things going on? It can't be talking about that, man. This is a future prophecy. When the light has came back, when the light has come, it's not happened yet. All right. And there's actually so-called preachers out here that preach that. Some so-called white and even some so-called black that say that the quote-unquote Jewish people today are the Israelites of the book, but none of it makes any sense. We just got in one chapter, and that's not even the main focus, but we see continuously that cannot be. All right, let's get Revelation 21 and 4, just to touch on how it's going to be in the kingdom.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 21 and verse 4. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
So there'll be no more reason to cry about anything in the kingdom. Bills won't be piling up. You won't have to worry about none of that stuff. No more death, no more sorrow. All right. Again, no pain. Your back hurting won't be hurting in the kingdom, man. All right. Authorize all that stuff. That's going to be wiped away. Former things going to be passed away. All right. So I grabbed that just because it said violence should not be heard in our land. All right. Just to touch on the kingdom there quickly. So let's get verse 19.
Verse 19. Book of Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 19. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory.
All right, so this is not literal. So the sun and moon is not going to be destroyed or anything. There will be a sun and moon in the kingdom. Okay, so this is referring to that knowledge and wisdom of the world. You won't have to worry about, being taught the word. The word is going to be in your heart, meaning your mind. So you won't have to go to someone else to get a breakdown. Yahweh Shai will give you a breakdown of the scriptures, all right, if you need it, but it's going to be in your heart, so you're going to know it. All right, so that's what that means. That light, remember the law is a light. All right, we can grab that quickly just because I referenced to it a few times. Let's get it real quick. Proverbs 6 and 23.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 23. And it reads, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
All right, so the law is a light. That's what it's referring to. The scriptures, man. All right, the sun and the moon, the knowledge and wisdom of this world will no longer be what you have to, go to for your understanding. You'll have that. Like we read in Hebrews 8 and 8 on down. Jeremiah 31 and 31 on down. All right. Let's give verse 20.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 60 and verse 20. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended.
So the sun, as you see, it can be destroyed. It's just saying here how it won't go down, and the moon will withdraw itself. That's referring to how we talked about how the sun and moon, aka the wisdom, the knowledge and wisdom, will be withdrawn. I believe I got that up. Joel, the 3rd chapter. Where you at? I thought I had that up. I feel like I do. It's too many tabs. Let me get that real quick.
You had it up. You went in it and pulled a precept.
Okay.
I see it.
Yeah, I meant to go back. It's all good. Please, Joel 3 and 15. All right.
It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 15. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining.
So that's referring to that knowledge and wisdom being pulled back. The Most High saying that he won't take that wisdom and understanding away from the children of Israel anymore. All right, that period is going to be over. You're going to know exactly what's going on. You're going to know the whole volume of the book. You break down the scriptures without even having to write anything down. It's going to be in your heart. Heart meaning your mind. We grab that real quick. Oh no, I got that up. Get Hebrews 8. And let's skip down to verse 10.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 8 and verse 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people.
So the sun and the moon will no longer have to be your light. The Most High is going to give you that light. All right, Yahweh Shai is going to give you that light. All right, the great Lamb. All right, that's what that's referring to. And you know what? Let's grab this too. Let's get Baruch chapter 2 and then verse 30.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 2 and verse 30. And it reads, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves.
That's what we're doing now. We're remembering ourselves in the land of our captivity. Keep going.
Verse 31, and shall know that I am the Lord their God, for I give them an heart and ears to hear.
Keep going.
And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name.
Keep going.
And return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before the Lord.
All right. So you see what this is referring to, man. It's referring to our people coming back, remembering ourselves in the land of our captivity, which is right now. All right, keep going.
Verse 34, and I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it. And I will increase them and they shall not be diminished.
Okay, that sun and moon won't withdraw itself again. And let's finish with verse 35. This is really the point, but I mean, all that's so good, we had to get it all.
Verse 35, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them.
So we know Isaiah's, the 60th chapter is a end time prophecy because, you know, all these things have not come to pass. You know, we've been driven out the land, you know, ever since we were in there when we escaped out of Egypt. So that's what this is referring to. Israel coming back into the land, Yahweh coming back, his people being brought back into the land, the Gentiles having to cleave into us as a people because they know they will be destroyed. If not, the ground rule is going to be laid out nice and clear. So if you ain't willing to get with it, you're going to be gone straight up. All right. That's what this chapter is referring to. This is the, like it said at the top here, glorified Zion. That's what this is referring to, man. Not all this other nonsense that people purport. All right, and we can finish it out.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, and verse 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I might be glorified.
All right.
A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
So whatever your status is now, if you consider a little one here, you're going to be made 1,000 or a strong nation, like in Zechariah, the 12th chapter. All right. So the feeble among them at that day shall be as David. We know David was a mighty warrior. So that's what this chapter is about. It's an end time prophecy about the children of Israel, the other nations. The mercy that they receive from the Most High is just going to be able to take a breath of air and be able to serve us. All right. And not for the ones that, you know, did all the wickedness to us and still doing it now today and have a lot more left to go, just for the others of the other nations. Okay. Because we know the chief nation that represents that old serpent, Satan, they're going to be utterly destroyed. That's in Obadiah, the 18th verse. So with that, I yield.
Great lesson, huh?